Hello and welcome back to Foos Entertainment. This time for my review of 2008's The Incredible Hulk, which, as I mentioned in the last review, I watched via digital download. But this is the one film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that you could put a way of doing that because it's not, dramatically different from watching it on Blu-ray. And so, you still get a good experience out of it. Now, let's go and do the synopsis of the movie. Taking place in between Iron Man 2 and Thor. We first see the backstory of how things came to be in flashes in the beginning credit sequence of how Bruce Banner was a doctor and scientist, and he was a part of this project ran by General Ross and his daughter, Elizabeth Ross, which was, they don't say it in the movie, but was actually Bruce Banner's fiancée. Well, they don't actually say that in the movie. You know that they have a love relationship, but you don't know that was that big. But basically, it shows how he got for the gamma experiment and experiment on himself. It created his Hulk problem, and that's when he went on a run. But it shows in there, all briefly, is the fact that he actually almost killed the woman he loved in an enraged event when he first morphed into the Hulk. So let's stuff in that beginning credit sequence. You have to pay close attention a little bit to it to really see it. Of course, I'm lying. Of course, you don't have to pay close attention. It's kind of very drawn out for you. And then it picks up years later. It's explained that he, for 5 years, has been evading authorities. We find that he is in Brazil, in a village in Brazil. And he works for a soda distributing company, but freelance, does not get on a payroll because he doesn't want to attract any suspicion, and he is pretty much using what he has to try to find a way to cure himself of his gamma radiation poisoning, which turns him into the Hulk. He's communicating with some editor scientist that has a code name of Mr. Blue. And basically, after failed attempts, he has no choice but to go back home to try to retrieve the data from the experiment itself. Upon doing so, he accidentally, although he tried his hardest not to. Oh yeah, before he goes back, he accidentally cuts himself and his blood ends up in one of the sodas, which alerts attention. And so a Special Forces unit, forget the name of the character, I'm sorry, I'm so interested in what's going on in the movies that I often forget the names of the subcast characters of each film. But I'm obviously talking about Tim Roth's character. He was a commando in the United States Army. He was born in Russia and raised in England. And basically, he leads a team, and they get their asses kicked by the Hulk. And then that's when he goes back home. And of course, he can't find the data because it's been erased. And then by accident, although he's been trying not to, he does run into his lost love, Dr. Ross, and find out that she actually procured the data and hid it. So she gives it to him. Of course, the general and his military officers do, track him down and then trap him, and he turns into a Hulk again. And in their attempt to try to capture Banner, they almost kill Dr. Ross. So, in this Hulk-like state, Banner protects Dr. Ross from the military forces. Meanwhile, in the second attempt to try to take down the Hulk, they had injected a low dosage of the same gamma radiation that they put into Banner to supercharge Tim Roth's character, to make him almost superhuman, but in a controlled way. And they did that, and I'm not sure if it was right there and then, or if it was after the Hulk paralyzed him to the point of no repair. Then somehow the injections they gave this guy regenerated his cells. So he went back to health like he never had all his bones in his body destroyed. And at some point in all this, the soldiers getting addicted and power hungry for this fucking serum that they keep giving them. So Banner and Dr. Ross do hook up with the mysterious scientist by the name of Mr. Blue, who is a professor at a college, and they try to suppress the gamma radiation that turns Banner into the Hulk. And then, of course, Banner is captured by the military. So is Dr. Ross. But Dr. Ross' character stays behind because he's power hungry, and he forces the doctor to give him a full injection of the gamma rays, and it turns him into the super villain in the comic books for the Incredible Hulk, the Abomination. And that kind of makes it like a big, one-on-one battle between the two supercharged creatures, monsters, whatever you want to call them. And it brings things to a climactic end. And Banner goes into hiding. And that's pretty much it. The post-credit sequence does show Stark. Sorry, his cat is playing with the tripod again. As mentioned before, don't hurt the cat. Just try to get away from the tripod. Doesn't make shaky cam. But in the post-credit sequence, we see Stark talking to General Ross about the Avengers Initiative. So that's how you know this takes place after Iron Man 2. Because if you remember, before the post-credit sequence in Iron Man 2, which of course shows the discovery of Thor's hammer, you have Nick Fury saying that you are not going to be part of the Avengers, but you are going to be a consultant for the Avengers. And so what we essentially see him do in the post-credit sequence of The Incredible Hulk is his services is a consultant, consulting for the Avengers Initiative. So that's how you know that it takes place right after Iron Man 2. Although the film was filmed and released in theaters 2 years before Iron Man 2. So that's where it gets a little confusing. But, yeah. Now, audio and video quality-wise. Now, this is my first and probably only movie I'll be watching via Amazon Prime in this Marvel Cinematic Universe month of reviews I'm doing. Because I just bought Thor and Thor Dark World today. And when I get paid this week and coming up, I'll be getting the other 2 movies that I don't have. Which, of course, would be Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther. But this one, like I said, is not much different because you had 5.1 audio on the Blu-ray anyways. Well, the video quality. Very digital. Very warm color temp. A little bit of neutral, but not so neutral. This movie says very, very warm and dark color temp. And that is to be expected because what Universal Studios was doing in 2008 was kind of the same thing that Lionsgate Films was doing in 2008. They were very much using very dark, very digital, experimental high-definition cameras, which had very little in the term of brightness when it comes to the cameras. And so it is supposed to look like a very, very dark movie. But it plays well with the tone of the movie, I would say. So it will have some pretty good colors, but if they would have used a brighter color template, the Hulk would have been greener. There would have been a lot more color in the movie. That's kind of the way it kind of is. And that's not uncommon for movies in the first 10 years of the millennium. I would even say that the Lord of the Rings films were much darker than the Hobbit movies. But we'll get to that when I get to Fantasy Adventure Month, which will be later this year. But, yeah. Video quality was pretty good in this movie. Audio, I was surprised. For something that says Dolby Digital through digital streaming services, this really did have a lot of direction. There was a lot of direction going around the room with all the speakers. You know, bull effects, tranquilizer darts bouncing off of the Hulk, down to the Hulk roaring. Actually, really engulfed the entire cinematic sound fields within the room. And it definitely did work his charm, in my opinion. Definitely good quality on audio. And that comes from the digital version. So if the digital version is good, then you'd absolutely know that the Blu-ray version is good too. And like I said, for the most part, I did not believe in watching stuff digitally. I say watching it in Blu-ray is the better way. This film is an exception. I would say so is Iron Man 2. That's an exception as well. Iron Man 1, I'm sorry, that Dolby True HD soundtrack was so unique that I don't think that could be replicated with a down-mixed Dolby Digital track. So I would say that one you have to watch on Blu-ray. But Iron Man 2 and The Incredible Hulk, you can get away with watching in digital download. Although I just watched The Incredible Hulk in digital download. But, yeah, I did like the audio. My thoughts of the movie is related to the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Just like Iron Man 2, this is a film that is an odd duck. This is not essential. Really at all. It's just the second weak link. But it's the last weak link. I like this movie. I actually really enjoyed this movie. I come back to this movie. Although I don't have the Blu-ray of it, I do come back to this movie. I like it. But this is held by all Marvel fans of the straight direct timeline Marvel Universe is the forgettable installment. Matter of fact, a lot of people don't even remember this movie that watch these movies. Yeah, people that watch the Marvel movies don't even remember this movie. Two reasons for that. It was released for Universal Studios, not Paramount Pictures. And you didn't have Edward Norton reprise his role as Banner and the Hulk in the later installments. You had a different actor. So that makes this a very forgettable movie. But I actually really enjoyed this movie. I can certainly say that. Well, that's my views for 2008's The Incredible Hulk. I will see you guys next time, which will be tomorrow, for my review of Thor. I believe it's 2010 on that one as well, but I'll have to look at the back of the Blu-ray when I watch the movie. And until then, I will see you guys, see all you gents and fans later. Until then.